So thank you to Signature Entertainment for providing me a link to Lamborghini, the man behind the legend, and I have watched it, and to be honest, as sad as it is, I wasn't impressed. I was actually quite disappointed, and the reason why I'm saying this is because if you have a film about a specific person from the past who has a story to tell, you would assume that it's a point in their life that kind of changes everything for them. And I get it, the director tried his best to make Ferrucio Lamborghini story as as influencing as he possibly could, but it just didn't hit the mark. Normally filmmakers would find a less absorbing element of a famous person's lifestyle that he could bring forward to the screen in a unique way that no one has ever seen before, but this film just didn't have any type of direction, or he didn't have a certain aesthetic in a way. There wasn't nothing like mind-blowing. It was just a generic 97-minute film about Frank Grillo playing Ferrucio Lamborghini, and the worst part is Frank Grillo was the best part, and I wanted more of him in the film. I believe he came in like the 50th minute, but I think the 50-minute mark is when, or for the 45-minute mark is when his character started having more lines, and that's when his speaking roles came into play. And the film opens up Ferrucio Lamborghini having a race with Gabriel Byrne's Enzo Ferrari, and they're having a race in an empty city or empty roads, and it just seems like, okay, they're gonna have a showdown. But unfortunately what the issue is that this was a part of the story that kept going back and forth with the early stages of Ferrucio Lamborghini's career, coming back from the war, and then going forward to him being a successful owner of Lamborghini who build tractors, and then that is cutting back and forth between him and Gabriel Byrne's Enzo Ferrari having a race in the middle of nowhere, and it just didn't serve any purpose. So it was just like, what was the point? For me, this is like anonymous filmmaking, and the reason why I say that is because there wasn't no element of this filmmaking in which I thought, okay, you know what, this is beautifully constructed. And it's a shame because when I watched the trailer, I was kind of hoping to feel what Ferrucio Lamborghini's motivations were, and if anything, the film depicted him as a serial cheat, a person who didn't care as much for family. He cared more about the cause than anything else, and it just didn't feel like a biopic, which it made me like the person. The only reason why I liked Ferrucio Lamborghini was because of Frank Grillo, because he was playing the character. That was literally it. Other than that, it just really fell flat for me. So as we're having those the opening scene of Frank Grillo racing Gabriel Byrne's Enzo Ferrari, it cuts back to just after the World War II, when Ferrucio Lamborghini's younger self, played by Romano Reggiani, and he comes back from war, goes to his father's farm, shared a dream with his father, saying he wants to build tractors. He wants to create the best tractor for half the price and as stronger as the regular tractors which are going around. And he ends up building a relationship with his friend who was in the war with him, so Matteo, played by Matteo Leone. So as the story develops, you see the younger version of Ferrucio Lamborghini trying to build this tractor, or this new hybrid of a tractor with Matteo, and you tend to feel like, why are they doing what they're doing? It just didn't feel clear to me. So when tragedy struck, where his partner Celia was pregnant and gives birth, but she dies while giving birth, I just didn't feel like, oh wow, oh my god, this is gonna break my heart. I just didn't feel anything. It wasn't as emotional as I thought it would be, and that is quite scary as a audience member watching that, because you think that at least when someone passes away in a film, you'd feel a bit empty in your heart, but I just didn't feel that. Leading to that scene, Celia is trying to tell Ferrucio Lamborghini to not mortgage the farm in which his father owns. It belongs to his brothers, but obviously I think the director's trying to depict Ferrucio as selfish, and he wants to do what he can because he has a dream and he wants to fulfill it no matter what the cost is to everyone around him. And it just become a bit of a reoccurring theme that towards the end of the film, Ferrucio Lamborghini's downfall is the fact that he just doesn't care about the workers because of his selfishness, And it's just for me, it's just ridiculous. I don't know what was the point of the whole film then. I know it's a biopic, but at least have some sort of message behind it. There was nothing. It just felt short for me. For me, the film gets better when Frank Grillo comes in halfway point of the film, and obviously you can tell by his accent that it comes and goes because he's trying to put on an Italian accent, and he does do his best. From the trailer reaction which I did about a couple of months ago, I did say that he is trying he has like a really thick American accent, and having an Italian accent wouldn't be as ideal. So if I were them, they should have casted someone else who was from an Italian descent, who could actually speak Italian and incorporate English lines as well. But Frank Grillo is literally the best part of the film, and he is such an amazing actor, and it's just a shame that he was part of a project that didn't have something more going for it. So as the film goes along, you realize that Mira Sorvino, who is Frank Grillo's, Ferrucio Lamborghini's second wife, she is trying to like hold him together and trying to help him through his career. But obviously he's cheating on her as no matter how close they seem. And unfortunately for me, it's like she didn't have as many speaking roles, or any type of influence in Ferrucio Lamborghini's life. You just see her as, oh, she's a second wife, and that is it. There's no heartfelt proper performance that makes me think, wow, this is like literally the best performance of a film, and that is a shame in itself. Like someone of her caliber should have a lot more in terms of script, in terms of dialogue, and in terms of set pieces. She just deserves to have something more going. Probably the best scene is her and Frank Grillo sitting at a table eating and having a conversation about how he needs to think about the workers, and they have a bit of a scuffle in terms of thinking about what's right and what is wrong, and that's literally the best part of the chemistry between them, and that is not the fault of them, but I say it's the fault of the scriptwriter. So throughout the entire film, you keep going back to this scene in which you have Gabriel Byrne's and you have Frank Grillo's racing between each other on the track or on the empty road, and there was literally no context, there's no significance behind it. They didn't say if it was a dream sequence, they didn't even mention anything. It just seemed like they just threw it in the trailer to make it seem like they're gonna have a final showdown, but there was nothing going for it. And for me, that was kind of a letdown, and it was probably false marketing in the sense of, why would you show this in a trailer as this is going to be a proper thing in the film, when reality is nothing. It just didn't materialize. You know what's even mad? Gary Burns wasn't even in the film that much. I think he was in the film for like about 3 or 4 scenes, and after watching it, it just seemed like he was part of the film, and the next thing you know, he left the film halfway through production, so they only tried to incorporate him into the film as much as they could. And this was supposed to be a film literally about Lamborghini versus Ferrari, but we hardly got that. If anything, it just shows the story of Ferruccio's Lamborghini and his journey to becoming one of the most exotic car makers in the world. And there was no rivalry. They mismarketed the whole film, saying it was going to be a rivalry between Ferrari and Lamborghini, but there was none of that. Like I said, Gabriel Burns was in the film for probably about 3 or 4 scenes, and that was it. And even then, he only had like about maybe 5 or 6 lines of dialogue, so it was like it was kind of useless. There wasn't much about the cars itself as well. Maybe I think there was about 2 or 3 scenes in which we see the car that they were creating through the entire film, or what the vision of Lamborghini's vision was to making that supercar that is affordable but also elegantly beautiful. And we see a few scenes here and there of everyone standing around the engineer room trying to figure out how to create this car. You got different people from Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and they just were coming up with ideas trying to create this beautiful car, but that was it. There wasn't any races that made me think, wow, this film is insane. And you see a kind of a race sequence in the trailer in the first few minutes in which Ferruccio's Lamborghini, the younger version of themselves, after the Second World War, and Matteo are basically driving to win a sort of competition to basically fund their dreams of making the best tractor. And it just felt shoddy. It didn't feel realistic enough. It just seemed like they're shooting on the back roads, and there was no excitement about it. If you compare that and you compare to Ford versus Ferrari for what they had, I get it. I get it. The budget is completely different. This has a way lower budget compared to what Ford vs Ferrari did, but at least make it, inventive, or make it innovative, and make it exciting. But I just didn't feel that. So this film was only 97 minutes long, which I guess it makes sense because the film itself wasn't as exciting as I wanted it to be, and I believe Frank Grillo deserved better, especially from a directing and script writing point of view. And this film deserved to be, I guess it deserved to be shot in a way that made it look aesthetically pleasing, and we just didn't get that. I get a director was trying to come up with his own unique take, but if you told me that some other director made it, I would have said, yeah, he made it, because there was no distinctive directing style to this film, and that was certainly missing through the entirety of this film. And it's a shame, because I wish this film had a director, a script writer who could actually bring forward what Lamborghini actually meant. And I know it's a lot for me to say because I'm just an audience member watching it, but that's just how I truly felt when watching the film. And I believe Frank Grillo and everyone else on the production deserved a lot better when working on it. So yeah, that's my 2 pennies on the film. So if apologies to anyone who was watching this and was hoping for me to give a great raving review, but I'm just being brutally honest. I don't think there'd be a point of me making videos if I can't be truthful in what I watch. So that's just my opinion of what the film is about. I think this film deserved a lot more, and hopefully if you're not going to watch this, I say watch it video on demand, which is available right now and on different streaming platforms. So watch it at your own discretion and just let me know what you think if you watch it, and yeah, we'll just go from there. I hope you liked the review. I hope you liked the video. Please like, share, subscribe and comment, and hopefully I get to see you in my next video.